Month to month, box to box. This is how we live in the GLP-1 community. We never know when our coverage is going to get yanked from underneath us. Last year, it got yanked out from underneath me, and I had to go the compound route. I had to go to a telehealth. And what alleviated that financial burden a little bit for me was using my HSA card. I went to the hsastore.com to look for some electrolytes. ShedRx is there. ShedRx, the telehealth, is HSA approved and FSA approved. Ah! So I'm going to ShedRx, right? And I'm going to use my HSA, which alleviates a huge financial burden for me. And if you're interested as well, go to shedrx.com. They'll take great care of you. They've got fantastic doctors. And you can use the link down below in our link tree, or just go to shedrx.com and use my code, CAT50. Get your $50 off your first month.
Without further ado, let us invite on our friend, PMAC.
What's up, PMAC?
Hi.
So we are so glad to have you here today. I know you know our show, and you've been coming into our lives and stuff for a long time, and we're thrilled. I would like to offer you the space to tell your story, unfiltered and uncut.
Oh, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I've watched all of you guys for a long time, and I can't describe the impact that you've made on my life. So thank you so much for that. So I'm going to take you back to the beginning, I guess. There are only 2 times in my life where I can remember not being overweight. First one was being a premature baby at 2 pounds 6 ounces. And the other time was between roughly 2016 and 2018 when I had my lap band surgery success. And I'll explain what success actually is. So I was overweight my entire life. And being an overweight child, I grew up with parents that were both overweight, both type 2 diabetic, and overweight runs in my family. So I was pretty much genetically going to be disposed. I have one sister. She hasn't really had a weight issue her life. However, I learned that through time, she's been white knuckling it this whole time. So I never knew that. But I grew up in an environment where I danced. I did competitive dance. I did dance in school. And I think the first realization that I was not of average weight was probably 6th grade when we had to go look for leotard and tights, and we could not find any in a size extra large. So back then the internet wasn't really a thing. So we were having to search high and low to find leotard and tights. And being in competitive dance and having to order costumes every year, that became difficult. And I remember let me back up. We had to audition for our competitive dance team, and I was just the same talent-wise as everybody else. Walked up to the sheet that showed all the names of everyone that made it, and I was standing behind a girl, and I vividly remember her going down the list of names of people that made it. She got to my name, looked at her mom, and said, "I cannot believe she made the team. She's too fat." That was the first time that I think I finally realized what was going on. So I then went to a performing arts middle school, did ballet, did modern, and my 8th grade year, my mom was pulled into a parent-teacher conference with my dance teacher to talk about my weight. That was the second time I remember having a conversation about it. And Mama Bear did what Mama Bear does, and she tore into my dance teacher. She was like, "How dare you talk about my child's weight? Clearly she is athletically sound to do everything else that all these other students can do, but how dare you?" Moving into high school, I went to a performing arts high school, and the only way I can describe it is that it's like the movie Fame, but we don't jump up on the tables and dance and sing, but it's like the movie Fame. And from my middle school to my high school, it was a known thing that if you went to that middle school, you were automatically going to go to that high school. You were kind of legacy-ed. And my sister went to the high school too. So it was kind of like, okay, this is kind of a no-brainer. It's going to happen. I got rejected. That was the next time I realized it. And, you know, being in the dance world, weight is very, very important. But that does not mean that you are not talented. I look back then to what I see today, and you just see these people that are dancers, and it's amazing that they're finally being accepted. So I had to re-audition for my high school, and I made it in, performed, did everything just as fine. And then, you know, life goes on. You go to college, and you continue to do what you do. And by the time I got out of high school, I was a size 16. And then went to college, stayed between like size 16, size 18. So in college, I got to about a size 20. And then incrementally, just going into the corporate career, I continued to put weight on. Fast forward to 2006, I started getting migraines. Migraines run in my family, so we didn't really think anything of it. The migraine continued to get worse and worse and worse, to the point where it was affecting me being able to eat. I couldn't keep water down. My vision was getting really, really messed up. And to give you a visual perspective of what was happening to my vision is that I remember trying to drive home one day, and I was in the middle lane. The lanes on this side and this side were physically crossing in front of me. I had double vision. What was happening is my optic nerve was being pushed on and caused this eyeball to go this way. Long story short, I was diagnosed with idiopathic intracranial hypertension, which is with an overproduction of spinal fluid in your body. The best analogy I can give you is that if you think about a toilet and it gets stopped up, your spinal fluid goes up your spine, around your head, and back down your spine. And when your body overproduces too much spinal fluid, it gets backed up. And so the more it gets backed up, the more pressure it puts on your brain. And that pressure was pushing on my optic nerve and caused my eyeball to turn. That condition in of itself is rare. It's about 1 out of every 300,000 people. There's no known cause. There's no known cure. It's just commonly amongst women of childbearing age with a history of menstrual problems. And your temporary relief is spinal taps. So I've had probably about 12 spinal taps in the last 20-ish years. And if it's not regulated, it can eventually cause permanent blindness. So that was number one, you know, traumatic situation of health. We got that under control with the help of my neurologist. He is the one that actually suggested weight loss surgery. And I got approved for the weight loss surgery. At the time, lap band was the big thing. I did the lap band in 2009. At my highest weight of lap band, I was at 290 pounds. And I got down to 115 pounds. Now, by all outside looks, I was successful. I cheated it. My dad had gotten diagnosed with cancer in 2009, and I wanted to prove to him that I could lose the weight. So you figure out a way around the band. Kim, you know where I'm going with this. You figure out what slides and what doesn't. And anybody that's had lap band or any type of bariatric surgery, you know when you eat something and it gets stuck, immediately you know that look. Hang on. Ooh, I don't talk about all this stuff.
I know. It's a safe space, though, especially with me. You know that.
Yeah.
Kim is known to break people into tears. It just happens. So
I didn't even do anything. All right, make you laugh a little.
I know, right?
Right.
Got you.
So I realized that I could get stuck and get rid of the food. And I let this happen over the course of not months, a couple years. And essentially I became bulimic. to the point that it affected my relationship with my sister, that she would not let me around her kids because she didn't want her kids to think that that was acceptable. But in my mind, I rationalized it because when it came up, it was solid chunks. It wasn't all the gunk. So I made myself think that it was okay. And if it came up, it's fine. I'll just go back and eat a little bit more and see if it'll stay down. And that happened for a few years until it finally caught up with me that I ate something I shouldn't have and my lap band got stuck. Had to go to the emergency room, have it deflated, and then we were going to slowly build back the fluid to where I could get back to the restriction level that I needed. And I was going to do it smart this time. But, life happens. I just didn't keep up with the fills. So now that's around 2018. My mom passed away in 2020, but I was gradually putting the weight back on. And then we fast forward to May 2023. I was now at my heaviest of 292 pounds. And I started having some chest pains. And I've never had acid reflux. I've never had any of that. So I thought, well, maybe it's just some acid reflux. So the first time it happened, I went and grabbed an ice pack and sat it on my chest, went and laid down for like about 30 minutes and the pain passed. I noticed that I'd gotten really, really sweaty when it happened. So it passed. And then about 3 or 4 days later, I was up late working one night and the pain hit hard. And it's right here in the sternum. And I told my boyfriend, I was like, I think I need to go to the emergency room. And when it happened, I had gotten super, super hot. And I told him, I was like, I just need to go lay down on the tile bathroom floor where it's cold so I can try to like cool off a little bit. And at one point, I know that I was actively starting to pass out because he was talking to me and I could not make out what he was saying. So thankfully, we literally live right across the street from a hospital. So we were actually just able to go over there, went in, and they had me in the waiting room for quite a long time, to where the pain had subsided. They put me on like some saline just to try to rehydrate me and stuff like that. And then while we were sitting there waiting, it started happening again. And this was an unbearable pain that I can't even describe. It was worse than my worst migraine. And so they ended up admitting me, and they did angiograms, CAT scans, all the testing that you could do. And come to find out, I had a heart attack. So it was initially described to me that it was spontaneous coronary artery disease, dissection, which is where within your arteries there's a lining, and that lining tore. And when there's a tear in the lining, what happens is that as your blood flows through that lining, it starts to pillow and pocket in that tear, causing your artery to eventually possibly close. It's known to be, from all the research I've done, it's known to be most common in women ages like 40 to 50. Usually they've undergone like a recent traumatic event or a recent stressful event, like a dramatic pregnancy or something like that. And my cardiologist was so baffled because he asked me, he's like, have you had anything like that? Like, have you had a traumatic experience? And I was like, no. I'm like, the only stress I really have is just work, and that's it. So they kept me in the hospital for about 3 or 4 days, and they said it was SCAD, the SCAD. But then they also said at some point within that time frame, I had a heart attack. So now we know what we're working with. I get out of the hospital, and if that's not a wake-up call, I don't know what is. And so I then decided, okay, we got to get serious about this because clearly your health is not in the best shape. So I then go back to my bariatric surgeon, wanted to get the band filled so I could start losing some weight some more. They send me off for an upper GI, and then I go back to the surgeon and he says, well, we're not going to fill you. And I go, why not? He said, because according to your upper GI, you're at the restriction level you need to be. I was like, clearly I'm not. So then I didn't receive any additional support from them, no recommendations, just that's all we can do. Oh, but you can take my copay money, I'm sure, for not telling me anything. So then I decided, okay, well, it's up to me. I've got to figure it out and do what I got to do. So I started looking up like calorie deficit eating. What can I start changing things out for? And I started working on that, and I was having a little bit of success. I mean, within about a month, I dropped about 10 pounds just making lifestyle changes, and I cut soda completely. Haven't had a soda since freaking July, I think, which is amazing. And then about 3 weeks after my heart attack, my friend messaged me and just checking up on me. And she's like, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm good. I've lost this much weight, trying to do it on my own." And she's like, "Oh, yeah, I lost about like 13 pounds in 13 days." And I was like, "I'm sorry, what?"